So, have you ever found yourself at the end of a stressful day reaching for food? You know you're not hungry, but you're still grabbing. You might think, why am I doing this? You've promised yourself you're not going to emotionally eat anymore. So you make this promise to yourself only to find yourself going through the cupboards and looking for something. If you've ever wondered why stress overrides all of your best intentions, then this video is for you. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. So one of the most common things I hear from women is that I was doing well until this stressful thing happened. Maybe they had parenting stress, something happened to their child, they have relationship stress, there's financial stress, they feel overwhelmed by life. Something came out of the blue and just pulled the rug out from under them. And suddenly food becomes the only thing they can think about. The frustrating part is that you've been through these cycles before, where you're really stressed out and you go to food, and then maybe life is calm for a little bit and you forget about it. But if you have looked around lately, life doesn't seem to be getting any more calm or stable. We have to learn to ride the waves of life. And if you don't do that, your emotional eating is going to continue. The first thing to understand is stress changes what's happening in your body. When you're feeling stress, sensing stress, thinking about stressful things, it changes your nervous system. You go into survival mode. Your brain is not thinking, how do I resolve this in the healthiest way possible? It goes back into old survival patterns, into old coping mechanisms. It goes back to emotional eating. And so while you might have felt like, oh, I kind of resolved it once and now I still feel stuck and now it's all I can think about, you didn't really learn how to heal the root. Life might have calmed down and so you weren't triggered into your emotional eating, but it doesn't mean that it ever really went away. And so when you're in the survival state and this coping mechanism's triggered, it's essentially you wanting to get back to a state of calm. So our brain doesn't want us to be in this activated non-stop state. It wants to figure out a way to get us back to calm, to be soothed, to feel good, to have a more calm nervous system. Because if we're constantly in a stress state, we're going to be, in survival mode, and it doesn't want that. And it's uncomfortable being in the survival state. It's uncomfortable dealing with these emotions. And so our brain does the only thing it's learned to do to regulate itself is to go back to food. Because food physiologically, biochemically in our body gives us a dopamine rush. It kind of gives us some feel-good sensations. It makes us feel okay. It kind of soothes or numbs the pain of what we're feeling, the stress of what we're going through temporarily. It's not the solution. And so if you're in this constant stressful state from the outside world, your brain is trying to help you calm down. Because if you continue in this anxious state, in this stressed out state, it's not helpful for you. But of course, going to food and emotionally eating creates its own sense of stress as well. And so when stress happens, food happens as well. So the interesting thing about food when you're using it this way, it's not solving hunger, physical hunger. It's solving your problem of discomfort, of stress, of not feeling good in your body. Food might be helping you feel comforted. It might make you feel like you have some soothing. It's kind of like you eat something and your body exhales. You feel like, I can finally be calm, or you're just kind of blindly emotionally eating because you've been so deeply triggered. It feels like the only thing you can reach out and grab for. Your brain is just saying food, food, food. And even though part of you might say, I don't want to go to the food, it's the only thing your body knows to calm you down, at least up until now. The question really isn't, why can't I stop emotionally eating? The better question is, what is food helping me cope with? And how do I actually meet those deeper needs? So if you emotionally eat when you're stressed out, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. There is a defect with your hunger signals. It means that you learned this coping strategy, this way of meeting your needs, of feeling calm, of moving through stressful events from a really long time ago. But it's not serving you in your day-to-day life. And so the goal is not about shaming yourself for having created this. You created this as a child to help you move through discomfort and distress. When the parents or caregivers in your life, they couldn't help you move through that. Maybe they shamed you for having your emotions or your needs. And so you had to learn, you had to adapt to feeling okay in any way you could. And food was really accessible, it felt good in your body, and it became this way you could kind of take the edge off. And so the goal here really is about looking at your emotional eating in a different way. When you have those moments of stress, it's not trying to make life perfect and not have stressful events, because there are things outside of our control. It's about learning to work with your emotional eating pattern. It's by getting into this deeper layer to start shifting this pattern of going to food and actually meeting your deeper needs. And in order to do that, if you already know you're emotionally eating, it's about getting into the deeper roots of this pattern where it formed in childhood and starting to give yourself on a body level what you needed, the soothing, the comfort, the attunement that you actually needed at this deeper body level, giving your body that, because when you're able to do that for your body, food will be a poor substitute. It will be a band-aid. And then food just becomes the thing that you eat when you're actually hungry. It meets those hunger needs versus emotional needs. And this is a big part of what we do inside of the Emotional Eating Evolution program. A big part of the process is finding when you're triggered, getting into the root of this in the body, learning how to catch those triggers and not rely on food, but actually meeting those deeper needs in the body, those deeper emotional needs, so that you're no longer using food as a band-aid. You're actually healing the root in the body, giving yourself what you needed, reparenting yourself, giving yourself on a somatic level that sensation and feeling that you have been missing for most of your life. And when you do this, this is how you start to heal your emotional eating. This is how you start shifting the pattern. It was the same for me every time I was triggered into emotional eating, and I knew it was actual emotional eating. It wasn't that I was restricting food and just binging because I was hungry. It was true emotional eating. I was getting into those roots, meeting those needs, learning how to give myself what I needed on an emotional level. And when you're able to do that, you gain so much clarity in your life about your next steps, about boundaries, about the actions you need to take in your life. And also you start feeling ease and peace and confidence around food and in your body in a sustainable way, because now you're actually meeting your true need and not falling back into your old coping mechanism of using food. You're actually growing up and meeting your needs and becoming more whole in the process. And so if you'd like to find out how you can start doing this process, I would love to invite you to find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution program. This is my 12-week container. Inside of the program, you have a step-by-step process. You have weekly office hours and one-to-one sessions with me so that we can get into the deeper roots, start shifting it so that you're no longer, at the end of the day, going into the cupboard when you know you're not hungry. You're actually meeting those deeper needs and then feeling that ease and peace and confidence in your body and around food. And so if you'd like to find out more about the program, I'll put the links below. And as the next step, if it's resonating for you, it would be to book in an emotional eating clarity call. On the call, I find out more about you and if I can support you in the program getting to your goals. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope you have a great day.